so I'm building this bulldozer, and there's one thing I've been agonizing over since the beginning, and that is how to attach my ball bearings. Because I've got these 2-inch ball bearings, and if you buy just the naked ball bearings, you can get them pretty cheap. Like, I think these are like $1 or less than $1 a piece, and these are stainless steel ones too. But if you get a bearing block, which is a thing that this fits into that has holes that you can then bolt onto something, they're like $5, $10. I mean, the price goes way up once you have the bearing block. So I just bought the naked bearings, and I've been trying to think of a way to make bearing blocks. Once I've got the material that this fits into, drilling the holes out is no problem. The difficult part is making the 2-inch hole that this fits into. So if I either got like blocks of aluminum, or I made blocks of fiberglass or something like that, I'd have to be able to cut a 2-inch hole like perfectly. I mean, pretty close to perfectly. Now my emergency backup plan is to take the bearings, put them on something flat, and like put fiberglass all around it, which is kind of a finicky operation. I mean, it would fit perfect then, but I have to cut the fiberglass and then get it on, and that stuff's messy, and doing like details like that, because I really need it to touch everywhere, I'm gonna get it on myself, and it's horrible stuff to work with. So I was talking to this guy about how to make different holes, and he suggested an annular cutter, which I don't have, and I was saying I could do it with a milling machine and a rotary table, which I also don't have. Then the idea came up of doing it with a hole saw, which is really obvious, but hole saws don't cut very good holes. Like, this is a 2-inch hole saw, and a 2-inch hole saw will cut a 2-inch plus or minus like a 32nd of an inch. So not the kind of accuracy I need for something like this. But then I was saying, what if I did something to the hole saw, machined it in some way that I could, to make it actually cut a 2-inch hole, like really accurately? Well, it turns out you can. Let me show you what I did. Alright, first I took my hole saw and looked at it against my bearing and saw how much it was sticking out around the edge, just to get, an eyeball estimate of how much I need to grind this thing down. So then I stuck it in here. And the first thing I did was I turned it on and took a file and put it up against, just to test something, and it was like going clink, 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 and that meant part of it was hitting, but part of it was not hitting. So not only was it not 2 inches, it's off-centered a little bit, right? So that means it's just not going to cut the right size hole. And I could sit here holding the file forever, but that's going to take too long. So I got my angle grinder, and I held that up, and just held it, and just slowly got closer and closer till it was clinking, and then kept grinding away till it was a smooth circle, and it was just consistently making sparks the whole way around. And then I tested it on this hole. Now that hole was pretty close, but still a little loose for what I need to do. So, but I knew I was on the right track anyway. So then I did it a little bit more and just kind of guessed at how much it needed to be. And here's the second hole. Oh, look how snug that is. Oh, 2-inch holes for real. Ah, so now I can drill my actual 2-inch holes. And this is like such a huge weight off. I mean, not that it was going to be a disaster if I had to do it by hand with the fiberglass, but man, it's going to be so much nicer just drilling the hole than having to like form it with the resin and the fiberglass and getting it all over myself. I mean, maybe I could not get it all over myself, but I have to do enough of these that I would end up getting it all over myself. So now I just need some blocks of material big enough, kind of like this, but thicker. As thick as the bearing. Actually, as thick as 2 bearings, because I'm doubling up my bearings in a lot of it. And then I can drill my 2-inch holes, and then I can drill my holes to mount it. You can see where I ground off pieces of the teeth to get it to be round, so it actually cuts a round circle. it took off more here than it did over here. Oh, and of course the secret to get it really round was to not have the angle grinder leaning up against it, but to hold the angle grinder like really stiff and let it hit the angle grinder. Then it would take off the pieces that are touching. But if I just leaned the angle grinder against it, then the angle grinder would kind of go in and out as the thing wobbled and just file it off everywhere and not get a round circle. That just opens a huge door of being able to use hole saws for all kinds of holes and actually get accurate holes. Now I have some of this. I have 4 pieces of this that I could maybe use for blocks. This is aluminum. I kind of wish those holes weren't there, but whatever. I don't know though. I'd like it to be a little bit fatter because I want more stuff around the bearing. Yeah, I want a little more than this. So the other option I have is to just make like really fat fiberglass strips, which isn't difficult. If I'm just laying the fiberglass down, it's pretty easy to do. Just like get a flat surface, wax it, and just put lots of fiberglass strips down. I don't mind doing that. I just didn't want to do all the finicky business of getting it to form around a ball bearing. Anyway, if I can make basically fiberglass ones of these, but a little bit fatter, then I can drill the holes, put these in, and I should be good. Alright, I was looking, I don't actually have 4 of these. So I was looking, thinking maybe I can get away with it, but 2 of them are all messed up and cut into. And I got them from the junkyard, like for free, I think. So I think I'm going to go with fiberglass blocks. And another good thing about doing fiberglass is that putting fiberglass in there will separate the aluminum from the stainless steel, like electrically separate them. So it'll help prevent corrosion, because when you have different metals touching, they can kind of eat each other slowly. Not sure if it works with stainless steel though. Maybe the chromium would get in the way of that. I don't know. There is another thing I've been wondering how I'm going to make work, and that is these things. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them, but they're so nice. They just don't fit these. They're too loose. But then this guy named who lives like 40 minutes away. I was going to say nearby, but like kind of close-ish. 40 minutes in his motorboat anyway. Ed, he came by, and I was saying, yeah, you know, I might have a piece of sheet metal that fits in here. Maybe. I don't know. I have a couple different thicknesses. And then he's like, well, what about like stainless cups and bowls and stuff? You can just go get some. I was like, yeah, I have a cup that's broken, and if this doesn't fit as a little shim in there, I can go to the store and just find a plate or a pot or something. Something's going to have the right thickness if I just try a bunch of stuff. Thanks, Ed. That was a great idea. All right, here's a little piece of that cup, just for a test. I'm just going to cut this. Oh, good. Get that in there. Still loose. Pretty close though. Alright. Whoa. Just need to try a bunch of different stuff.